This is Patrick Henry, the CEO of QuestFusion with The Real Deal, What Matters. Today we're here with Jade Charles and Jonathan Shapiro, co-founders of Fragmob. Jade is the CEO and is responsible for the innovation and architecture of the Fragmob platform, along with the mobile and social strategy. He's considered an expert in mobile development technologies and online social psychology. In addition to Fragmob, Jade was recently responsible for various celebrity social networks, such as Jessica Biel's Make the Difference Network. That's Justin Timberlake's wife?
I believe we're exes at this point, but he's following.
And Bodie Miller's skispace.com. Bodie Miller is definitely a cool Olympic skier guy, which is clearly very cool. Prior to Fragmob, Jade served as the Chief Technical Officer at Text America, where he was solely responsible for the development of the first hosted mobile photo sharing service in the world, as featured in Time magazine. Jade Charles attended the University of Hawaii School of Electrical Engineering, where he played Division I football before starting his first company at age 19. Jonathan is the President and Chief Financial Officer of Fragmob. Jonathan has extensive business experience in operations, professional investment, and advisory roles. He has dedicated his career to growing people, building teams, and strengthening organizations, as well as mentoring many founders to help them grow their businesses into successful ventures. So similar to what I do now. He was previously a partner at a private equity firm, Ropart Asset Management. Jonathan has served as Chief Financial Officer and is currently an active board member of several software and service firms. Jonathan received his MBA from Columbia Business School and an MBA from the London Business School. He received his Master of Science in Accounting from the Leuven School of Business at Pace, where he attended on scholarship. Jonathan graduated magna cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa from Rutgers College in New Jersey, completing a BS in computer science in 3 years. Wow, that's impressive, Jonathan. Jonathan is a chartered financial analyst and a licensed CPA. I met the Fragmob team at a San Diego Venture Group event called Cool Companies, and these guys are definitely a cool company. They've been awarded the Inc. 50 Best Workplaces Award in 2016, a Red Herring North America Finalist 100, and the San Diego Business Journal Best Places to Work Award in 2016. So welcome, Jade and Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how did you guys decide to go into business together and come up with the idea of Fragmob?
So Jade and I had worked at previous businesses before.
Okay.
I'd worked in a direct sales company helping grow it from an investment perspective. We spun off the technology, and Jade was our lead technology person to help run that. With both of those companies, we eventually sold it to a software firm that focused on direct sales.
Okay.
Jade's technology was key in that sale, and then we eventually sold that to a much larger company.
Cool.
One of our direct sales companies, their CEO had an idea to create a mobile offering, and there was none existing in the industry. So Jade was given the challenge to create a mobile offering for direct sales, multi-level marketing companies, and he was able to do that. And that started in 2010.
Okay.
In 2011, after the first beta successful, we created a company and got our first contract in 2011, and that's when Jade and I really started to take off.
Okay. Now, do you guys market directly to the direct sales people or to the organizations or both, or how does that work?
Yeah, it typically goes to the organizations themselves.
Okay.
They're the ones that make most
So this
of
is
the
like an
decisions.
Avon or an Amway or
Yep.
anybody that does kind of direct sales,
Yeah.
multi-level marketing type of stuff.
But it's kind of ironic because the end user is actually the independent rep.
Yeah.
So we're selling a different group on the technology for a different group of people who actually
Okay.
use it.
Explain that to me, so I'm not following that.
So each of these companies have a field, right? They call it, which is a group of independent salespeople.
Okay, so these are independent contractors. They
Yep.
get paid on 1099s, and you have a
Right.
parent company that basically provides the product or the service.
Correct.
Okay.
And the important part of that 1099 is they are not full-time employees.
Correct.
So they're the field. They're kind of the separate entity, so
Yes.
to speak. Now, they don't make the decisions on what what solutions they get if corporate is involved. Corporate makes those decisions.
Okay.
So we talk to them and try to convince them that our stuff is.
So this is kind of part of your, I guess, franchise fee, so to speak. Okay, I pay up to the parent organization. They provide me a set of tools, and you guys want to be with the parent company, so the tools come down to the salespeople that way.
Exactly right.
All right, cool.
And there's two methods. So one is we work with corporate and we charge them per user per month for every sales rep that uses our software.
Okay.
Another model is we still work with corporate, but we charge the sales rep directly through the Google Play or iTunes stores.
Okay, so it's a subscription model, one way or the other, and you kind of either aggregate it at the corporate level, or it's like the individuals do it and you kind of get a fee that way.
That's correct.
Okay, so basically this is one of these companies where the original business idea is actually the same thing you guys are doing now, or has the business model changed over time?
Generally speaking, it's stayed the same.
Yeah.
We're a solutions provider for sales reps, and direct sales has a pretty good chunk of sales reps.
Sure, of course.
We're looking into other industries like real estate, insurance, things like that. Any industry that has similar properties as the direct sales space, and it all starts with that independent rep.
Okay.
So, although we have gone into other industries, most of our business is done in direct sales.
Okay.
And that's been the case since 2011.
Now, as the direct sales market, though, there's these multiple verticals. Have you found a common set of things that are associated with all those verticals, or do you customize and tailor the product for certain verticals?
It's funny, you don't understand the nuance in those verticals until you're deep in it.
Sure.
There are generally three that kind of pan out, and we've kind of mastered one of them, which is the multi-level marketing aspect of it, which is I want to recruit you or sell you a product.
Yes.
And then you go under me and you can sell product too. I get commissions based on what you do. Party plan is kind of another vertical that we're toying with at the moment, and it's similar but slightly different.
Okay.
So this is more the Tupperware party model.
Okay.
Where everybody come to my house.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, I'm going to sell you some stuff, though.
Yeah.
Right? So that's party plan.
Okay.
Our tools are more on the MLM side right now, but we're gradually getting into these other other verticals.
Okay. So the tool then does allow you to not only keep track of your direct interactions, but everybody that's in your kind of pyramid, so to speak.
Yeah, so I would use the word tree, but absolutely.
A tree. Okay.
So there are some very big commonalities, which are regardless of the party plan or the multi-level marketing, the demographic is these are not full-time sales reps, as Jade was alluding to before.
Yeah.
So these are not people that earn a salary. They earn what they keep, and our apps are made for the average person. So we make it really fun, really intuitive, and that's where Jade's expertise is, focusing on how would someone use this from a mobile behavior to drive some type of action.
Yeah.
So make it easy for them, tell them what to do, make it a game, set some minor goals. How do you get this salesperson to accomplish the goals they want to achieve, but they're not? Because there's no tools there right now.
Okay.
They're using the web and paper right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even a lot of the traditional CRMs, customer relationship management tools you have to be somewhat tech savvy, at least in my experience. I'm a relatively technical guy, and even with some of them, they're pretty difficult. And then the mobile versions of those pretty much suck, So has that been your focus, or is there a web-based version of your tool, or is it just mobile, or how does that work?
Yeah, we focus on mobile for exactly that reason.
Okay.
I mean, we happen to be in an industry that, technologically speaking, is kind of slow.
Sure.
And it's funny because, if you zoom all the way back and think about the late 80s, early 90s,
sure,
you had to be an engineer to use a computer, right? Then Steve Jobs messed that up, and he said, okay, no, we got to make it.
Yeah.
So we have to focus on this usability thing.
Sure.
Right? So anyone can use a computer.
Yeah.
Now, even that can be further broken up into web usability and mobile usability. Now, where we are now is people think that mobile usability and web usability are relatively the same thing.
Totally different.
They're not, right?
Totally
exactly.
different. Yeah.
So we focus on not only the mobile tool, but the behavior that you're doing while you're on a phone versus a computer.
Right.
So all of the tools reflect that behavior. So if someone says, oh yeah, you can work at the beach, and they imply that you have to bring your laptop to the beach, it's like, that's not really what they're talking about. They're talking about being able to enjoy the beach and still get work done.
Yeah.
Now, that's very different being on a mobile device versus a laptop or, frankly, in front of a computer.
Yeah. I mean, everything associated with user interface is very different. Just the fact that you have the touchscreen is, in terms of user interaction, is completely different. I remember when, in addition to QuestFusion, Amanda and I have this lifestyle blog, San Diego lifestyleblog.com, and on the mobile version of the site, we had this bar at the top, and when I showed it to my friends, they were like trying to stream over it, and it didn't do that,
right?
Because it wasn't set up that way. But we eventually got it fixed. The mobile site has customization and optimization over what's available on the desktop version of the site, just because of the way people interact with it. I'm sure you guys have many more things that you do that are really important there.
If you think about it, these are people that, because they're part-time, they don't have they can't afford the expensive web tools and apps that would normally be a Salesforce.com or something that your corporate would pay for you.
Sure.
So we need to be able to tailor it so it looks like the company, and we white label our apps, make it fun and intuitive for the sales rep, but also at an attractive price point where they're willing to say, okay, I'll take a try on it, and so they can get higher sales productivity. So that's been one of the challenges that we've been meeting.
So your ultimate user is the multi-level marketing salesperson, but you've got the corporate level. So it's kind of a multi-level sell for yourselves as well. You kind of have to sell both the end user as well as the corporate. So corporate, okay, stamp of approval, we're going to have this white label version or the branded version of your white label product out to our sales force, but not everybody's necessarily going to use it.
That's correct. And we get paid on adoption, so per user per month.
Okay.
But regardless of who's paying for it, we still need to sign up with corporate to use their marketing assets.
Right.
As in saying, okay, this is Avon, this is branded this way, these kind of colors.
Now with the big kind of corporate level clients, do they want to customize and optimize the feature set, or they're pretty much, okay, here's the off-the-shelf features and there's great leverage of your product across multiple verticals?
Good question. So we've been dealing with that from day one. Right?
I'm sure you have.
We've gone through a lot. Okay, we've spent literally millions of dollars figuring this out.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, yes, the corporate always has their input, and they always want it this way and highly customized, but they don't. Most of the time, they're not quite up to speed in terms of the difference in usability and what is the most effective thing to do given a situation that the sales rep is in.
Yeah.
What they're typically thinking about is, we need to sell everything, right? We need to make as much money as possible.
Sure.
And we need to get all the information in this app. We need to give them all the tools that they need. And it's kind of this dump of features. And we're like, no, that's not how it works. You're going to overwhelm them.
Sure.
And we pull based on our experience on how to get people to actually use this.
Yeah.
It's great that you want all this value and this customization, but if they're not using it, all of that stuff is actually kind of worthless.
Yeah.
So we have an off-the-shelf package, or we have 3 packages that are catered to best practices in terms of what we think maximizes productivity based on a mobile experience,
Okay.
not sales overall or based on something else. So we have to have that fight pretty much every single time we
Sure.
talk to somebody.
Now, if you end up developing a feature, are you able to have that available to all users outside of that particular customer and vertical? Have you guys been able to successfully accomplish that?
Yeah, if it passes our product vetting process,
Right.
it gets built into our roadmap,
Into the base product,
and
okay.
then we.
So far you don't have like any feature exclusivity that you have to offer, so you're basically able to leverage this into your overall product.
We do currently that is the way it's set up.
Okay.
Now, at one point, we did offer an exclusive product or feature, but they had to pay for it. But
Okay.
that has since expired, so now we're
terrific.
offered.
And if you,
So it was a time-based exclusivity, it wasn't like in perpetuity.
Correct.
Great.
if you think about the life cycle of a company, we've paid those prices. So we started off with one client.
Sure.
And then we started having a number of additional clients, and it was very similar code bases, but each of them had differences. And so adding
Sure.
a feature was actually a little bit different for each of those different companies.
Yeah.
And then we said, all right, let's do our actual infrastructure investment, and now we have a single code base across our companies.
Okay. Now, is there like an app as well as a back-end, a cloud-based hosting portion of the product?
Yep.
Okay.
There are three major components to it. Only two are visible.
Okay.
You have the Frag DS platform, which is kind of this big brain
Okay.
that everything kind of stems from. Then you have the portal, which is a website, which is a set of tools for the corporate client to use to configure settings based on what they want their app to be.
Okay.
So that's basically a website of tools.
Okay.
Right? And then there's the app itself, the white label branded app, which is for the end user,
Right.
sales rep. And they're the ones consuming the app. They're the ones actually using it.
Okay. Now, does this tie in with fulfillment? Like, okay, I'm managing my customers, but now they want to buy, lipstick, so it shoots it back up to corporate, and it ties into the fulfillment system on the corporate side?
Yep. So we start off as just a group of engineers.
Right.
That's our core competency. We build software.
Yeah.
Based on the package you get, we have this integration phase, right, where we say, okay, we can hook you up with mobile shopping. And guess what? You don't have to change the way you do business. Because most of these CIOs, they've been around for 20, 30 years sometimes. Sure. And they look at an outsourced company and they're like, "Whoa, you're going to come in, make me look bad, do whatever, disrupt things, and you don't know how we do business." So we say, don't even worry about that. We'll just integrate into you. So any order coming in follows exactly your process, so you guys don't skip a beat.
Okay.
So anything mobile, we'll handle that on the usability side and get people to actually make.
So you do basically tie in with whatever kind of shopping cart capability they have from a fulfillment standpoint. Mm-hmm. So it's not purely a CRM per se. It actually ties in with the other systems.
Correct. Yep.
But that's incredible, because obviously that, builds in switching costs, and, people get used to it not only on the user side, but on the infrastructure side. So This is something that's excellent for you guys for sure. So tell me about like your ideal client. Is there a specific demographic, and you focus on just millennials or baby boomers, or it kind of goes across the board, men, women? Are there anything that you kind of tie into there, or is it pretty much everybody that would? There's no target demographic that exists out there.
There is for the industry as a whole, the average age is 46.
Okay.
And it's 82% female.
Okay.
So there's a certain demographic that we would be going after.
Okay.
And then depending on the industry, so coffee might be a slightly higher percentage male.
Okay.
If it's jewelry or some type of creams or apparel, it might be almost exclusively female.
Yeah.
But for most of these industries, and so we target a lot of our marketing toward that, and then understand who are the decision makers also at each of the different corporates. So marketing material for who are the CIOs, CMOs, chief sales officers, and so on.
Okay. Cool. And then. So we talked about the CRM. How big is the market for a product like this?
So interesting. How big is the market, right? 184 billion on last count. They keep pretty decent numbers, and it's growing. Now, the number that we look at is the 100 million potential sales reps.
Okay, so there's 100 million direct sales people
around the world,
worldwide.
But 184 billion of sales generated from those 100 million people.
Right.
So think if you added up Tupperware, Amway, Avon, Herbalife, Pampered Chef, all of those companies, $184 billion, and across many different industries. So services, financial products, Primerica.
But the served available market for you guys is the number of users times the monthly subscription rate. If you had 100% penetration,
we estimate $6 billion. So
multi-billion-dollar market.
$5 per user per month, $60 per year times 100 million people is $6 billion.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, what's the competitive landscape look like for this space? Specifically around mobile. I mean, there's a lot of CRMs out there.
Yep.
But you guys are doing actually quite a bit more than that, and you're mobile focused.
Yep. So two things. Our biggest competitor are the in-house guys, meaning they develop everything in-house. They have their own technology department, and it's a tricky sell to come in and say, look, we can do this better than you, which is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of
right?
NIH there, and not in it here for those.
So that's been, from a competition standpoint, that's been the biggest one.
Yeah.
Our other competitors have a history of web tools and things like that. So anyone who becomes a competitor is getting into mobile. So we found that most of them just partner with us.
These are other CRMs?
Other technology providers for the space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be a variety, like other than CRM providers, what other types of providers would be in this kind of space?
Genealogy, which is the software that calculates commissions based on that structure, that tree structure.
Okay.
Every direct sales company needs that technology, whether it's outsourced or in-house.
Okay.
That's a fragmented industry, which is kind of part of our names. Part of our name is what it is. So we go out and we integrate into all of those and kind of bring it all together.
Is there a standard API that you interface with there, or is there's a lot of customization on that too?
Yeah, that has been where most of our time, money, resources gone into, is understanding how to connect with these existing providers, and making sure that these new products that we have that are mobile only work with that. Right.
Okay.
So if we spend, let's say, 6 months. More about 2 months, integrating into one provider.
Okay.
They have their standardized APIs that they're used to, but if you go to the next guy, it'll be a completely different standard.
Right.
So there's no shortcuts through that one. That's a bunch of hard work and money.
But have you like partitioned the market and said, okay, these are the big ones, and we're going to go after the big ones first, or okay?
Yeah, we partner with pretty much all the major ones.
Okay, that's great. So what are some of the kind of mobile app features, and how do they help the end user, the direct salesperson?
So think about who the average person is. So this is somebody that wants to make a little extra money on their side, on the side. So I've never sold anything before. I kind of got interested. All of a sudden I'm a sales rep, but I have no sales experience.
Yeah.
Right. So one of our tools helps you become more productive. So maybe it has steps. Comp plans are very complicated. Maybe the first step is go learn about your product. And then we have a video library that teaches you about your product or service.
Okay.
Then you finish your first step, you get a little dopamine. All right, I'm on to step 2. Maybe I learned about how to sell to a customer. All right, we'll watch a video about that. Maybe 3 is I go play this game called Prospector, which is one of our features. Grabs all the contacts from your phone, and you play like Tinder, you play a game. If it's a hot prospect, maybe you swipe right. Maybe a cold prospect, you swipe left. Then you follow up with them, and then you call them. So you can send them any type of media on, hey, this belt goes with all these different types of occasions, or here's someone losing weight, maybe you could do that too. You follow up with them. Then if you want to sell somebody, you can use a product to say, whatever country you happen to be in, we tailor it by the country. So maybe you're in Germany, I can sell you the products in Germany, in German, and in Euro, so stuff like that.
Okay.
And so it just makes you a much more better salesperson. But then eventually maybe you hire someone to be a sales rep that works for you. And then we have management tools also.
Okay.
Now, remember, I have no management experience. I'm doing this part-time. So how do you contact the people underneath you so you can see their dashboards of everybody that works for you? Mm-hmm. And you can see what their key KPI, key performance indicators are.
Right.
You can actually see, have they been playing the game? How many people have they sorted? How many people have they hot? How many people have they followed up with? How many people have they contacted? And then if you have 5 minutes to work your business, who are the most important people you should be contacting?
Okay.
Our algorithms will look into your downline and tell you this person's closest to becoming director. Contact this person, where most people will contact a friend. So it really just helps them make it real easy, play a game, really fun, and get into our app, do something, get out of our app, so you can make some more money.
Okay, so this kind of gets into your whole tagline of instigating action. So it's more than just kind of a tracking tool. It also is somewhat of a virtual coach, so to speak, at least in terms of a sales coach.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's say I contacted you and I sent you a video to watch.
Yeah.
When you watch the video, I get pinged and say, oh, Patrick watched a video. I'm going to now contact him and say, hey, did you like it? Would you be interested in buying the product? You want to learn more?
Yeah. So like when I think about sales is you need to learn the product, you need to learn kind of the market, and you need to learn sales skills. Now, are you guys involved in all aspects of that, or what kind of the features that you provide versus kind of do you have other things that are integrated from third parties that come into your solution, or how does that work?
Yeah, typically they have their own compensation plan. And
Okay.
now the compensation plans are very complex.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And we can make reference to a video game. That's how complex they are.
Okay.
So we build the software to make that video game.
Okay.
So we work with a company to understand their comp plan, and that's where we develop those steps that Jonathan was talking
Okay.
about. And once those steps are locked in, now it's just a matter of how to progress through the plan.
Okay.
That's what it becomes. That
Okay.
comp plan has been set by the company a long time
Sure,
ago.
sure.
It's up to us to translate that into actionable items.
Okay. Now, do you guys integrate with, really rudimentary CRMs like a MailChimp or something like that, or how does follow up occur? When you have these follow up action items.
Okay, this is the engineer in me coming out of.
Okay.
So we can integrate with anything,
Yep.
as long as they allow that. We currently do integrate. We have a number of partners that we integrate with. Not all of them are direct sales oriented.
Sure.
So we have partners like Deductor, which do tax stuff.
Okay.
So if you want to write off your trips or something like that,
Okay.
they keep track of that. We do have integrations into like tax calculation, shipping calculation. You say rudimentary, that's immediately what I think.
Yeah.
So we have some that are already done. Generally speaking, we are open to integrating into everything as long as it makes sense from a product roadmap
Okay.
perspective. So that is what we do.
Another example is in some countries you're required to sign a piece of paper when you want to become a sales rep. So in January we partnered with DocuSign, and
Okay.
so then we have now the ability to integrate with them as well.
That's cool. So then, let's say you guys are really massively successful, and you become the person that other people are coming to. Do you have a standard API that other people can integrate with your stuff, or how is that working?
Yeah, so good question. So our newest feature that's still kind of in development, we ran a prototype years ago. It was fairly successful. We're revisiting that. That will have APIs for incoming.
Okay.
Most of our stuff now, we do have APIs, but they're all highly regulated from how do we connect to your system and make sure your system is working alongside of us.
Right.
So those are largely customized based on what the business need is going to be. The more important point is we like doing integrations. It's most of what we do.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, which I think you're asking, is do you integrate, and what is the level of integration that you guys are willing to do, which is pretty much everything as long as it makes sense.
Well, there's that part of it, plus it's just from a scalability standpoint, ultimately you guys want to get to the point where it's simple if people are coming to you and you can give them the documentation, so you're not having to do custom development with every single guy that's out there.
Yep.
I mean, now you have to do it because you're the small guy integrating with the big guys, but if you become the bigger guy, it'd be good if you had something where they could easily integrate with you.
Yeah, we've actually talked about that. We haven't quite gotten out of the woods of integrating with the majors yet, and we're not those big guys yet.
Sure.
But that idea, it has been discussed. So we say, this is going to get a little technical here, but just bear with me. Usually we say, okay, what are your APIs, because we need to connect to you.
Of course.
Okay? We're still going to be connecting to them.
Yeah.
So we have to build almost this inverse API and say, we're going to be making these calls with these properties.
Yep.
And you have to build kind of the receptacle for that request, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of this backwards thing. It's not typically how you build out APIs. So it's going to take some thought in terms of how to execute on that. Technically, it's very doable, but how do you explain this to a potential vendor who's going to connect to you? It gets a little more tricky than just a standard API.
Yeah, well, you're enabling different features that didn't exist before, so those API calls might not be available.
Yeah, and the calls are backwards.
Exactly.
It's like we're not pulling from your system. We're building something that's going to pull from a hypothetical system that you're going to build, right? So it's an interesting problem.
But the good news is, I mean, it's what I was just telling my engineers, they're like, this is really, really hard. I said, that's great, because once it's done, it's going to be really impossible for anybody else to do it.
Take great comfort in that.
And like you said, switching costs as well.
Yeah. So, okay. We know how you guys make money. It's a subscription-based service. Where are you guys at on revenue and profitability, or how much can you talk about that? Are you still in the process of raising more money, or?
We are. We're approaching $4 million in annualized run rate right now.
Okay.
We're expecting that to grow another 25 to 30% this year, then growing quite faster in the next couple of years. Right now, we're raising a couple $1 million. This year in 2016, we've really brought down the cost curve. So in December, it cost us 12 engineering man weeks to launch a client, and last week it took us an hour.
Wow.
So we've had trouble in the past with just keeping up with sales demand.
Yeah.
And so now that we've brought that cost down, we've been able to introduce new pricing, and we've our sales pipeline is increasing dramatically. So, and then as we be able to execute upon that, then raise more capital next year.
Okay, terrific. So you're hitting kind of key milestones and benchmarks where, you are creating value for the company. That's really awesome. So how are you guys disrupting the technology landscape in this space? I mean, this obviously sounds like a highly innovative solution. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think technology at large, it's constantly being disrupted. That's almost by definition what technology is. But in the space specifically, it really is that transformation from web tools to mobile.
Right.
Now, in the industry, there are two kind of major sales pitches that they have, which is free time, work at the beach, work from anywhere you want, that kind of thing. And two, you can be a successful business person. Okay. Now, the people who are successful, you mentioned this earlier, there's a component of mentorship that comes along with that.
Sure.
Right? It's no different in direct sales. So if you come in and you have a mentor, regardless of the tools, you'll probably do really well. Mm-hmm. So we look at that and say, okay, how about everyone can't have a mentor, right? So there's this percentage, kind of a large percentage, that are kind of left out to fend for themselves.
Sure.
So we say, okay, we can use mobile behavior, what people are doing on their mobile device, to replace mentors. To say, okay, this is your mentor, to get that percentage up in terms of who's going to be successful and who isn't. Okay. So it's taking technology and replacing the most valuable thing in the entire industry, and it's that mentorship thing. So in a way, there is a level of disruption, if you will.
So there's some component of like machine learning, artificial intelligence, where you guys have smart algorithms that are learning about behaviors and getting some, I guess, predictive analytics to come out of that?
Yeah, we're working on predictive analytics. I don't want to pretend we have Jarvis or anything like that.
Sure.
But yes, there are algorithms to try to predict what you're thinking. The sorting of your contacts, for example, that's one. Again, the RGO, there's another kind of component of psychology that we built in there to get people to purchase based on the group.
Yeah.
So things like that, yes. But again, based on the comp plan that the companies themselves have already set up, that's really where the gold is, right?
Yeah.
It's our ability to look at that and say, okay, I can create a set of actions for you, like that mentor does.
Right, so the comp system is going to incentivize a certain set of behaviors. Mm-hmm. So basically what you're doing is leveraging off of that and saying, okay, this is how this translates to you, Mr. or Mrs. Client.
Exactly. Think of it like you were saying before, like a virtual coach or virtual mentor.
Sure.
Right? So here are the steps you need to do, and it reminds you to do them. Or if you look at you use some pretty sophisticated algorithms to say, here are all the people that work in your organization, who should you contact and why? Yeah. And give yourself the information beforehand to say, okay, here, contact this person, make it really freaking easy.
Yeah.
One button, you can see their dashboard, call them, text them, email them, or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what are you guys doing to kind of protect your intellectual property? Are you doing a lot of patenting, or is it just trade secrets, or copywriting some of your software, or kind of what are you doing there?
It's a bit of all of that. We have some patents filed, two that are very valuable in our opinion. In terms of enforcing that's a different conversation altogether.
Sure.
A lot of it is just barrier to entry stuff, where we go through 6 months, 8 months of just hardcore development and thinking, how the hell are we even going to get through this?
Sure.
Taking comfort at the end of that of, okay, anyone else who comes into this space is going to have to deal with that as well. So,
so there's not a learning curve that they leverage off of what you do. They actually come in and have to duplicate what you've done.
There's a series of those things that they would have to duplicate.
Yeah.
But like most clones, software clones, they clone the face, right? What they see. They don't understand the reasoning behind it,
Right.
and that's why they wind up as clones and
Yeah.
not the real thing. So
Okay.
we're already seeing that. People copying some of the stuff that they can see publicly
Sure.
and trying to derive what the value is on their own.
Sure.
But we got to that for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the part that they can't fully see.
Okay.
So that barrier to entry becomes pretty effective.
So there is a lot of stuff kind of on the back end that's the smarts and the brains around it. Some of it may show in the user interface, but there's really a lot more to it than that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So when you look at the infrastructure, the fact that we're automating our build process, we're bringing down the cost of launching each of these features, having a single source code. We're able to now, when we want to make an update of one feature, we can launch it and it updates to everybody at the same time.
Sure.
So now our cost of our entire engineering base is spent on platform and product, not on implementation.
Yeah.
And so we're just far more efficient with our time as now.
That's awesome. So you're definitely coming down the learning curve. So this October, you're hosting a technology convention in San Diego for direct sales executives. As such a small company, why have you made it a priority to produce such a large event?
I'll speak more for myself on this one. Again, I think technology is the most important thing in business. I'm an engineer, so you would expect that out of me. And I think direct sales, like I said before, is kind of slow to evolve.
Sure.
So regardless of how big of a company we are, just to be able to have that group of people come together and talk about these advanced ideas, things that won't affect the industry for another 3, 5, maybe even 10 years, but just to get people thinking about technology and understanding that this is valuable and I shouldn't just rely on my successes in the past. I can use this tool, technology at large, to help me with my business, to augment what I already have. And once you get people thinking about technology, they're more liable to use those tools and therefore become more efficient, and that's where we kind of come in and come through in terms of our promise. So they won't use it unless they fully believe in what technology can do for them. And that's what this is for.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it with what you guys are doing, you've got to show people that it's easy to use. You know, it's, they say, you know, to our sales guys, you know, don't make the customer think. You know, don't do that. It makes their head hurt. You know, just make it simple for them. Make it simple so that it's easy decision for them to buy. And I think it's the same way with your guys' stuff. It's once you get it in your hand and you start using it, and you know, unfortunately, we couldn't do a demo today, but that's one of the key things. It's like, yeah, it's technology and super powerful, but it's very easy to use for somebody that's a non-technical person.
Yep.
That's what's so powerful about it. But to answer the question even further, we didn't see anybody leading the space as far as technology. It's very fragmented, and it's one of the reasons that we exist here. So we said, all right, let's take the lead here. Let's get all these technology companies and all of these CIOs and CTOs, let's put them in the same room.
Yeah.
Let's talk about not just what direct sales is, let's talk about the best technology of every industry. How can we apply it to work smarter together? Because the pie is so much bigger when we all work together.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you can make the salespeople even 5 or 10% more efficient, that's huge for them in terms of profitability. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about just entrepreneurship for our audience of entrepreneurs. We've been geeking out here a little bit. So what are kind of the key lessons learned, not only with Fragmob, but just you guys are serial entrepreneurs, and that you can share as far as key insights for the entrepreneur audience out there?
Me, no big surprise, embrace technology.
Yeah.
You can get it to do all the things you don't want to do and focus on the things that only human beings can do.
Yeah.
And that makes you a more effective person overall.
Okay.
I've had arguments, I love arguing, with old school successful business people.
Yeah.
Right? Where they look at the past and say, look, I've been successful without technology.
Sure.
How can you argue with that?
Yeah.
And the reality is they weren't as successful as they could have been if they did have the technology.
Yeah.
Right? So that is my firm position on it, and all my arguments kind of stem from that.
Well, it's about efficiency and productivity. If you look at why the U.S. economy and probably global economy has gotten gains in terms of efficiency and productivity, it's the application of technology to business problems. But then you got to do it in a very easy to use way, especially as you start penetrating out of the super technical group. into the broader set of audiences that you guys are going after, you have to make technology much more digestible.
Yep.
You know, you can't feed a steak to a baby. You know, so it's like you guys are doing something that's really cool there.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's responsibility. If you're a decision maker,
Yeah.
you do have to make the best decisions you can on how to make your team more productive.
Of course.
And technology is the first answer in that,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just us technologists who need to push this. It's the executives, the people
Yeah.
who make the decisions on behalf of other people to say, look, this will help you and I'll show you exactly how.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how about you, Jonathan?
I come back to the mentor aspect of it, which is too many people go after business by themselves. So if you have a good idea or a way to bring the company forward, write it down first, discuss with somebody, have a mentor that's not yourself or not someone that works for you, right? So it needs to be somebody who doesn't work for your company. So whether it's a board of directors or an advisory panel or mentors in the industry, too many people kind of go after this themselves.
Yeah.
And that's been all the difference in most of the people I've ever spoken to that are successful have a mentor.
Sure.
And too many people, they own 60% of the company because they started it, their boards are ineffective, and they run it like a lifestyle business and they don't achieve the growth and performance they should, and then
Yeah.
eventually their lunch gets eaten for them.
Yeah.
The second thing is run as lean as you can
Yeah.
for as long as possible, because we very much embrace the agile methodology at Fragmob. So get something out that produces revenue, get something out that works. It doesn't have to work 100%. Somebody will pay money for, and then keep iterating, keep improving everything about the business, whether it's marketing, whether it's financials, whether it's technology, whether it's your idea, get something working. But the more money you have and the less of a burn you have, the more times you can keep iterating and get it better.
Absolutely. Well, this has been awesome, guys. I'm really glad you did this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you bet. So I'll try to get down to your technology conference in October, and I'm definitely going to track and see how you guys are doing, but it sounds like you're onto something super exciting here.
It's more than just a nerd fest, by the way. It's a good time. That conference. Yeah. I can't promise to stay out of trouble completely.
Now, even more incentives keep coming down the pipeline.
It's really fun.
All right, terrific. This is Patrick Henry, the CEO of QuestFusion with The Real Deal, What Matters, here with the founders of Fragmob, an exciting company in the really direct marketing space. So this has been terrific, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much.